Okay, we're back and we're going to be using the Joule and the water droplets now to um, use them kind of as a map and see where they lead us to. And it's one of the things I've been doing lately is looking at them and seeing where how things in the image can be used as a map. And essentially what I'm doing is I'm taking the top of the map as north. I'm sorry, the top of the image is north, and then the right side is east, the bottom is south, and the left is west. And using those orientations to just find relationships between things in the images and see if there's anything on a map that corresponds. As each of these water droplets has a sort of a line that it's on, each of these is kind of angled a different way, and a lot of people have wondered, if that means something. Well, I'm gonna show you what I think it means. So the left droplet here, what I did is I ran a line through the base of it up through that white dot, and it came out at 12.5 degrees. And now I'm not going to shift that to the left 8 like we did when we were finding the spots, because these droplets are oriented on the image relative to up, down, right, and left. And so we want their true heading, because that's going to be important. The spot that they were on the map was important as well, and that's why we had to orient them differently based on the way Brooklyn is tilted relative to true north. But this line is going up in the image, and so we want to use it as such. So it's 12.5 degrees. So we'll go back to the left dot, and we'll run our first line on that 12.5 degree angle. And we'll just extend it way up here. Close enough. So that's the left dot line. So we come back down here to the lower right dot. Its angle was at 11 degrees from true north. And so it's a little bit, it's almost exactly the same as the left dot. It's just off just a little bit. If you extended these things out far enough, they would actually intersect at some point. But you'd have to do it so far that it's obviously not the thing that you're trying to do here. So close enough there, 11 degrees. So that's the lower right dot. And now we know the Joule is between those two. But we don't have a line for the Joule. Basically all we have is its relationship between these two. One thing we do have is, that we have this line here that we can maybe use to just orientate it so it stays kind of relative to each other perspective-wise. If we hit this thing at a 90-degree angle, for example, it'll lead us on a line. So let's try that. That was my thought process on it. Let's hit it at 90 degrees. If we measure this line here, it's at about 11 degrees. And so we know that if we're going to hit that at a perfect angle here to make it perpendicular, then we have to be at 11 degrees as well, because true north is straight up here. And so 11 degrees off to the side here would put us at the perpendicular angle that we need. So from the Joule in at 11 degrees is going to be that line that we want. And we're just going to continue to extend it all the way up like we did in the other ones. Okay. So that's the Joule line. And so now we can take a look at this, and you can see that this Joule line is going directly through Astoria Park. And if you know anything about my solution from my previous videos, you'll know that my dig spot is in Astoria Park. And when I did this earlier, before I lost all the points, I had it dialed in to a T. And this line went directly through the center of the swimming pool, which is right in the middle of the park. It was dead center. And so to me, that was a clear confirmation that Astoria Park is the place. You can use these water droplets as a map to get you there. The only one that we didn't use was the right dot. And if you look at its angle, it's on a 45-degree angle. And so if we plot that line, that would be on 225 then. And boom, it goes within a degree of the joule, just like before. You know, we were off by 1.5 degrees earlier. I mean, it's the exact same line. To me, that's just confirmation that that's the right dot line. That's just one extra bit of confirmation that this is the correct thing to do. When you look at the angle of that particular joule, or that particular water droplet going to the joule, I think it's just confirmation that, yeah, you're doing the right thing here, and extending all these lines up, and it leads you right to Astoria Park. What's interesting, you know, I haven't posted about updates to my solution in a while, but you know, I mentioned that the subway map, you know, bring you down here, and basically now I kind of believe that, you know, the gray giant is probably the Atlantic Ocean, and the arm that extends over the slender path is the Verrazano Bridge. The Narrows is the slender path. You know, from there, you know, you got Fort Hamilton right here. You got the subway right here. You know, so subway is cars abound. You got the sign of Indy's native at Fort Hamilton, and then you hop on the subway, and it leads you. The R line goes up, and then it crosses under the East River, and it crosses right at the 74-degree longitude line, which, if you've seen my videos, you'll know that I've talked about that line before. There's a 74 in the water in the image, and this subway line runs directly underneath it. From there it goes up, and as it approaches Central Park, it then curves to the east. It goes under the East River again, and there's a stop at Roosevelt Island. And then so from there, you go from the sign of Indy's native down at Fort Hamilton, and then you got the Charles Dickens connection, which is the asylum, which is up here on the island. And that puts you on the right path. And then once you're here, you got to make the V. I go into that in my videos about how to use the clock to make the V. I've actually found some really, really interesting sort of confirmations in the field guide that support what I did. I'll probably make a video on those soon. But what's interesting is once you've done all that, all you got to do is hop right back on the subway and continue it. And back in 1982, the R line actually terminated in Astoria. And so you'd get off here and you'd walk down 5 blocks, and Astoria Park is right there. So you didn't have to do anything other than just get on the subway and then walk 5 blocks, and you'd have been at the dig spot, which is pretty much what most of these hunts have been, is a short walk. So I don't see how anything could be different in this puzzle. You're just getting on the subway first, and it takes you there. So like I said, I found some other things that are pretty interesting. I'll probably make some videos on those that'll help confirm Astoria Park. You guys let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll be talking to you soon.